she looks there, this is wide
This
range.
is your camera, and that's your camera.
Okay,
This one doesn't exist.
I have a question for you.
go ahead.
Why don't you just say it's the podcast? Like, call it the podcast for now.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. We're just having a discussion here, and I'm keeping this in here.
Okay. Oh, right.
I don't have a name for this podcast, but right now I'll take that advice. The podcast. So today I'm sitting down with my girl Shani.
Hi, everyone.
How can I introduce you, Shani?
I don't know. How do you want to introduce me?
I've known you for how long? Like 10 years now, I think.
Has it been 10 years?
2014 we met. Yeah.
Well, okay.
10 years.
She's good with math, with the numbers.
Shani's like my little sister because I'm a little more grown, you know? I'm a little bit
I'm
more
a little
grown.
bit more grown too. I feel like I have a ghost age and an actual age.
Yeah, you do.
Blood of Jesus.
Yes,
I have no
yes,
ghost
you do.
age.
She's more older than she is in spirit, in sense of wisdom. And I've known Shani for a very long time, and Shani has become a very good close friend. She's a businesswoman. She writes amazingly, even though you don't put it out there, but that's spoken word. Spoken word, yes, spoken word. She'll be on Jay Leno one night. And she's also a pastor. But what I like about Shannon the most is that when we get together, I think our conversations are very powerful. I think our conversations, every time you leave here, and that's how my feeling from it, I feel like my growth is even pushing further along. I think spiritually we're connected in many ways. And I love the fact that even when we have differences, we always root it back in love.
Yeah.
Always rooted back in love. She's a loyal person, and loyalty is big for me because you don't find that many people that are loyal. But anyways,
listen.
that's me being shady a little. But today I want to speak with Shannon about the journey. As you guys know, my history on social media, I've been on a journey, and you've been on a journey.
Yeah.
And I do know that when we're on this journey, there's a lot of things that we have to face in terms of ourselves. So how I'm going to start this conversation.
Okay.
When was the turning point for you when you realized that I had to do the work?
Oh, I don't even know. I know this is going to sound super weird, but I feel like I don't feel like I can't take credit for having that moment.
Okay.
I feel like that moment took me. You know what I'm saying?
Explain a little bit more.
Because I feel like you have these things that happen and you have, wow.
That's okay. That is my computer, and I am so sorry.
She's
Just reject
in high
it. It's
demand.
probably their dad.
She's in high demand.
Yeah. And just close that down.
I've never used this.
Yeah, just shut it down. Just turn it down.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I will end it.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Okay.
I'm so sorry about that. Because when your phone is off,
Then the laptop
the
will catch it.
laptop is still catching it.
That is a Mac for you.
Yeah.
We love the Mac.
You bounce back to wherever you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I feel like, okay, you know how sometimes life happens and then you become aware of what's happening around you?
Mhm.
I don't know how aware I was that I was at that point where I had to change.
Mhm.
And like, I feel like I was just going through the motions until I realized, oh man, my life is changing around me. And like, I'm going to drown. But it was like a lot.
So it was just a lot of things going on.
Yeah, it was like there was water in the lungs before I realized, like,
I was
oh,
drowning.
this is happening. Oh, I'm in water. Oh, okay. All
Shannon
right.
was
Well,
like, it was a lot going on.
Okay.
But name me like 3 of those things that were going on so people could know.
Oh my gosh.
Because it feels like there was just pile up on pile up on pile up, pile up. And
Oh,
Shannon
child,
was
this
just
podcast is going to be 30 minutes. Are you sure? Are you very certain?
like, yes, I'm very sorry. But Shannon, it felt like you were like one on top of the other, top of the other, top of the other. But there's the 3 major points.
Okay, so I would say there was pregame.
Pre-game.
So there was like things happening in my personal life. Because I'm a very spiritual person, right? So there was definitely things happening in my personal life where my identity was being shaken. There was like certain relational interactions that were happening that were not in alignment with my calling and who I was.
Okay.
And there were certain familial disruptions that were going on. And what's crazy is I feel like this happened around the time I had just become my optimal self. So I had just graduated from uni. I had just went on this trip. I came back. I felt fresh. I felt good. And I felt beautiful. And then it's like things it's like I was at a precipice of becoming everything that I was supposed to be. And it's like at that crack, there was this cycle of like interruption right before. And this is the second time that had happened to me, because it happened to me at 21 or 22. Yeah, for sure. It's a distraction.
Yeah.
And it often came in the form of relationship. And the relationship often was able to take set because I hadn't addressed certain insecurities. So I find what happens is when you do not deal with the foundations, like there's a scripture that says if the foundations of the righteous are faulty, like if the foundations are faulty, what can the righteous do? Yeah. Because like we become a victim to the foundations that we refuse to address.
So because you didn't address certain of, I would say maybe
insecurities for sure,
like trauma issues that you were dealing with.
Yeah.
Every time you felt like things were going well, there was a distraction that came in to pull you 10
of
foot
course
back.
because like we have an enemy. So now they're like, it's like, oh, she's succeeding, she's growing, she's developing, but there's an area where I can still bring her down, and she's not addressing it.
You were kind of creating a pattern. That's what I say.
Yeah.
So basically, you're doing well, something happens, you're doing well, everything's good, something comes to set you off.
Of course.
But that thing that's coming to set you off is also reminding you about the thing that you need to work through.
Which is God's grace sometimes too, right? Because it's like God, that's why the Bible says like he works out everything for your good.
Yeah.
Because even in the midst of a distraction and pending destruction, the destruction is bringing awareness to a problem that I need to solve. So it's like, even though it was an attack on my life, it still was something that was able to build and develop my character.
Yeah.
But you have to allow it to do that and not avoid it. And what I was doing a lot of times was managing, redeveloping, and rebuilding without fixing the issue, because idolatry was still in my heart. And the reality is I still wanted that love. I still wanted that relationship. And I wasn't willing to address the fact that I didn't need it from where I thought I needed it from.
So where do you, like, if you're going to think about some of the traumas and stuff like that, like what would be the three main things that you feel that you had to work through? Because I know for myself, I'll go first. I know for myself, a part of letting go that had to do with my abandonment issues.
Right.
So me, when I was younger, I went through some abandonment, and that played into my relationships. So I oftentimes held on to relationships far longer than I needed to, and they had come to an end.
And some of them,
or I entered into relationships that I didn't even need to do.
Yeah.
You understand? Because of the fact is that I was still dealing with those traumas. So I first realized that I had to do the work. It was 2014, and I met you too. You know, like
that's interesting.
Interesting. 2014, and I said I have to get a grip on myself. Like, yeah, I've been through some stuff, but when am I going to not allow the stuff that I've been through not to take over me anymore? When am I going to actually grow from this? When am I going to grow into the person that God intended me to be?
Do you know that we met, and that was one of the cycles that I was talking about when I was 21, 22. That's when we met.
Yeah.
So we met around the same time.
We met around the same time.
That's crazy.
Look where we are today.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that was for me. And that's when I said, okay. And then when that opened me up, I realized there was some insecurities.
Yeah.
There was me not knowing my own worth. And a lot of people, when you have to look at yourself, I find that that's one of the hardest things that you're going to ever have to do. And a lot of people don't do the work because it's hard to look at yourself.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So I've grown more empathy for people now that they're struggling. And I could see it because I'm like, I used to be there. You know what I'm saying? So what were those, like, name like three things or even one thing or two things.
I would say, oh, okay, this is going to sound weird, but it's good. I would say my interpretation of my life. Like, I had a life
story. Every time you say something, I'm like, okay, explain more.
Yes.
Because no, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Well, because, okay, my life had a narrative, but I had a perspective of that narrative that didn't align with the truth of who I was.
So you perceived your life in a certain way, but the reality is this is what.
Yeah. So basically, and like I had to come to grips with this as an adult. But I told myself a narrative. I didn't grow up with my birth father.
Yeah.
Right. I never met him until I didn't meet him until I was 20, 28, 29. Yeah. And I only met him online. And I told myself a story for most of my life that there was something wrong with me because I didn't have my birth father.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sucks because the reality is I had all the love I needed.
Yeah.
I had all the support I needed.
Mm-hmm. I don't know where that paper towel is.
I know where it is.
Okay.
And I had a beautiful life.
Mm-hmm.
I had a beautiful life, and I took so much joy for granted because of the perspective that I allowed to continue to play.
You think that like you do need your dad, but you felt like if you didn't have your dad, like your life couldn't be what it was.
Yeah, like I felt
generally
like it
supposed to be.
reflected something that was wrong with me. You know, so I went through my life feeling lesser than.
Yeah.
And it created complexes that were not necessary because it wasn't true to who I was.
Yeah.
So I ended up with like a ghost identity. I was functioning and identifying with someone who I was not.
Yeah.
And I knew there was a dissonance between who I was and who I thought I was, but I couldn't defeat it because of the insecurities that were so real.
Yeah.
So there was like a fortified truth that had developed around my mindset. And so I couldn't function properly, even though it was like a ghost prison because it wasn't true. You know, there was nothing wrong with me. I did not miss or lack anything. I always had the love I needed. I had support from different men in my life, uncles, pastors, stepdad. I had it all.
Yeah.
And it was to a benefit to me to be transparent. I do believe at this point in my life that I did not grow up with my birth father.
Yeah.
But at the time, as a child, you see other people and this structure is portrayed. And even though that is a healthy structure, it's not necessarily one that we're all able to have. And so that's what happened to me. And it damaged me in a way.
Yeah. How much do you think society has played into forming that perspective that you held on to?
In some ways, I don't think a lot.
No?
I think, I don't know.
So where do you think the perspective comes from?
Just because of other families, like my uncle, my cousins had their dad.
Dad, yeah.
Like everyone had like their dad and their mom. And they were happy. You know? And I think it is like an innate thing for us to desire that role. We need that.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the structure that God created for the home and for the family. But
then it also says, like, I like a part that when your parents forsake you, God will take you out.
That's what I was going to say.
And the thing about it is that you're saying something to me too now, because you're saying that you had the stepdad, you had the pastors, you had the people, your brother.
I had it.
You know, you had it. But then there was still a part of you that was missing, that played so much into your insecurities, so much into your relationships at times. And for me, and I think that's maybe why we connect too, spiritually, you know? Because for me, I felt as if like, yeah, I have brothers and I have a little big brother that's he's the best, but I also always wanted my father because I had one at a point in time and then I didn't have one. So for me, it was just like, I figured that I needed his wisdom to navigate this world. And I felt like there was a loyalty to my father that I couldn't give anybody else that nether title, even though there was so many other great examples. I have a best friend that he was always like a great big brother to me that helped me through a lot of relationships, but I just didn't want to adhere to what he was saying because it wasn't from the person that I wanted it from. So as much as I think it is society that played it for me, because you tend to look at what the world sees as the norm, and if you don't fit the norm, that means that you feel like you're out of place and you don't have a place to belong. And that was one of my biggest struggles. And then when I started to do the work, I was like, no, I do belong. I belong to Isilda Murray, which is my grandmother.
Exactly.
I belong to, even if my parents are not here, I belong as a sister. I'm an older sister. I'm a younger sister, you know? So I think society plays a lot into shaping our perspective on what we want it to be.
Yeah, and then I think it's not to negate the importance of the role, but it's the reality. It's the reality of the fact that God is able to give us a full life even if we don't have that. Because then He's still God. And when we're lacking, He said that He would give us a life with nothing missing and nothing lacking. And my life is living proof of that. You know? So in any case, that absence, I think, created these insecurities and these complexes of rejection, complexes of abandonment. And it might be why I have been such a loyal person. And I think that some of that loyalty, and it's just at the end of the day, like the reality is that loyalty might be a little toxic.
Do you think that loyalty is stems from a little bit of fear though?
Of course.
Yeah, the fear of
Of
yeah. If you mess up,
oh my gosh,
the
10,000%.
person may not ever talk to you again. So I have to be
Let
the
me
most
tell you, say me
loyalist.
not risk lose nobody. You're not gonna where you know. You can't leave this. You can't leave this. Cause this too sweet for less. God know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you package it good.
Good.
But
it's
what was
fear.
happening was people were still leaving.
Exactly.
When it came to the relational aspect, people were still leaving, and that was the get you.
Mhm.
And that was that is like so like the tactic of the enemy. Make you want something so bad and then program it to leave.
I felt, you know, Shani, I felt like that in the big. I was loyal to the core. Like loyal, no matter how times them backstab me, I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay loyal to who I am. But a part of that was my pride, and a part of that was my fear of letting go. If somebody stabs you 20,000 times in the back,
Let them go.
1 or 2 times, it's understand. People make mistakes.
You're
no,
nice.
not stab in the back.
Stabbing?
Yeah, okay. Let me take that.
Stabbing?
Not stabbing.
Stabbing?
Not stabbing in the back. But they mess up. They
Yeah.
make a mistake because they're imperfect.
Right.
That's fine. But I was allowing too much things to happen. And then after I was just like, no, like loyalty is good, but why am I being so loyal to someone that's not loyal to me? Like God made me a fool. He said to use wisdom,
That's
not to be
right.
an idiot. So
Wise as a
idiots.
serpent, harmless as a dove. Go tell somebody. Oh, you're so no. I'm not mean. I'm wise. The wise and harmless.
So
You know what I mean?
then I said to myself, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna observe, I'm gonna discern and see what is what.
Yeah.
Another question I have, because this is very important too. A lot of people, and if you want to share, what is the one thing about yourself on this journey that was hard to look at?
Oh, you're too much. That question look too enough. You know? Oh my gosh.
Because people will only receive the message if you're vulnerable and if you share
Okay,
your
let me
truth.
not make ugly faces on camera because there is freeze frame. I would say, oh God,
Like I
You
have
ever
this
get,
quote:
like,
the hardest thing to do is look at yourself and see the things that you don't like. But that's where you really receive.
You know,
your
this
start.
is giving me gag reflex. Let me tell you why. Because you
Appropriation.
know when you have an embarrassing moment and you remember, and the second hand.
So what was that embarrassing?
Sorry,
moment?
I keep touching my mic. My bad. That's disgusting. That was horrible. I would say the hardest part would have to be accepting forgiveness. I am a hard self-critic. And the hardest part of my journey was accepting forgiveness for myself.
Okay.
That was one of the
accepting forgiveness for yourself.
Yeah.
So you needing to forgive yourself.
Yeah.
That was the hardest thing.
That's one of the hardest things.
Okay.
That is one of the
what
hardest
did you used
things.
to do before? Just beat yourself up.
Yeah, that's how we grow. You know, it was toxic development. It was toxic.
Okay.
That's like when people hate.
That's honest.
That's like when people hate their bodies and then try to fix them. Like you go to the gym, you hate how you look, and you're like, I need to lose weight. I'm so ugly, and and it's like, how do you expect to build yourself up and tear yourself down at the same time? This is like making no sense. And I find that to a certain extent, I was trying to build a better life, but I didn't like appreciate the decisions that I made, and I was kind of upset with myself for some of the decisions, and convincing myself that those decisions are okay. Like, not that the decisions were okay, but like we can grow from this, we can heal from this, and like God will separate your transgressions from you as far as the east is from the west, so that it doesn't have a looming impact on your future. You know
so
what I mean?
like I would say shame and guilt was heavy for you.
Oh, for sure. Shame and guilt, self-condemnation, I would say. And that's because for the most part, I was a big people pleaser. And I think the reflection of being a people pleaser was just that I didn't think, like, I didn't have a high concept of self-value.
Yeah.
And I think what's crazy about that is a lot of people would look at me and they would not be able to imagine that that's something that I struggled with, which I think is like, that's why you must mind your business sometimes and not assume things about people, because you really never know what people are deal with and struggle with and have too much opinion.
You know
and
that, and
things
that's
to
the
say.
truth. The people that I could relate to that, because every time people, they'll see you and perceive you in a certain light, but there's certain battles that people can't see. You know, and I think like you're saying, I think shame and guilt aligns with forgiving yourself. And for me, I believe that what it was to look at the fact that I wasn't as happy as I presented to be. Like I was an unhappy person. And as
Oh, that's real.
and I used happiness to to hide, you know? So when I'm out there and I'm young and I'm like jumping around, I'm the ringleader, I'm doing this and that. But when I walk home by myself at nighttime, it's just this unhappy person.
Dissatisfaction.
Exactly. And my thing was that I was tired of feeling that way, you know, until I learned that happiness is really a state of mind. Like you have to really tell yourself and believe that you are happy. Like you cannot just look for it from other places, you know? And I think that when I thought about everything I had been through, I was just like, I'm not a happy person. And how do I and I'm a depressed person because that's a lot of things that especially Black women, we do not speak about our depression. I was very depressed before I decided to work on myself. I was very depressed that I had a plan. You know what I'm saying? So that's what my changing moment when I was just like, no, do you want to live or do you want to die kind of thing. I'm happy I chose to live because of the fact is that I have two beautiful kids right now. Easy and Easy, I love you. But that's where it got to. So I have these conversations because I know that between me and you, there's always something good that comes out of it. But I think that everyone gets to a point where they're at a tipping point, you know? And there's that tipping point that you're just like, do I tip over or do I lean back over, you know?
I think what's so crazy, and I think I now understand the purpose of this episode. It's because some people need to be aware that they're actually broken because we are so high functioning that either you're going to have to come to terms with the reality that, like Keemah said, you're not as happy as you are, as you're presenting to be, or life is not as fulfilling as you wish it was. Or you're going to have what I experienced, where life literally is going to crash and force you to see it, you know? And I think a lot of people are already drowning.
Yeah, for sure.
And they're just doing so well at it because I was doing so well at it. I was doing so good, and you know that you interacted with me, so you saw the insecurities. You knew that, like, wow, she's really succeeding in life. But
I've seen the insecurities, but I also seen so much potential.
Of course, but it's the reality. Like we have the potential. You know what I mean?
I seen the real you,
which is hey, but but yeah, I think a lot of people need to sit down and evaluate.
Yeah,
they need to sit down and evaluate all those negative things that are happening. Is not just for you to persevere through and make it out.
Yeah.
It's also an opportunity for you to stop and rethink and renegotiate some terms of how you're existing on Earth.
And another thing too, I just feel like I think there's too much shame and there's too much pride, or there's too much pride. It's nothing wrong with saying that you're not okay. You know, and I think that was the first thing for me. I came from a Jamaican upbringing. Listen, my grandmother could do 20,000 things at once. Okay, so she looked like Superwoman to us, but at nighttime there was a different Superwoman. There was a Superwoman that maybe cried herself to sleep, didn't know how she was going to do it. But these are things that I find culturally wasn't really expressed to us. You know what I'm saying? So
but it was a common experience.
It was.
Because many people felt that way. But it was like a silent understanding.
Exactly.
And it was also a silent expectation. And I feel like even as we grow into our womanhood, because of the examples that we see, we repeat the same cycles.
Exactly. And me, I wanted to break those cycles.
For sure.
I had beautiful cycles, but I wanted to break those cycles. And I feel that I wanted to break those cycles, and I just wanted to get to the point where we could really operate in our true selves. Like there's no point in living in this earth and operating as someone other than yourself. And I find I was doing that.
Okay, I think I have the answer now to your question.
Yeah. What makes you feel?
You asked me, the first question you asked me.
What was the first question?
I think that the moment where I knew something had to change was after grandma passed and my father passed. That's when I was like, all right, this is not working anymore. And it really wasn't working anymore. Like, I didn't want to pastor anymore. I wasn't doing my business anymore. nothing was like working anymore. Like everything was just like, it was getting done. Like I was still working at my job, but I wasn't satisfied with life, like you were saying. And I was like, man, I was so high functioning. I didn't even realize that I wasn't really living anymore.
Yeah.
And so
time was just passing.
Yeah, I was depleted, right? And I was still giving, and I was still nurturing, and I was still feeding, and I was still helping. And I was like, yo, enough. So I ended up moving to Toronto for work because I wanted to change in my career.
Yeah.
Because I put that on pause to take care of grandma. And
you remember I told you this is going to be like, I said something in the moment, like you going to Toronto is a good thing. It's either you're going to stay out there, you're going to come. There's something's going to happen, you know?
Because I was really drowning for real. It was not like it wasn't like, oh shit. No, I was like people. I don't even think my family realized how like bad it was. You know, like it was bad. And I still have to draw myself out of, because when you lose someone that's important to you, it's like no one else matters. It's like anybody can get the cut at this point. I don't really care.
That's when you're in your grieving stage.
Yeah, I'm just like, well,
then you have to ask for forgiveness because you're like, my God, I know better.
No, I didn't. No, honestly, but
I didn't know better at the time, but now that I do, like, yeah, anybody could have got the cut.
Anyone was getting the cut, and they were getting cut. Some of them, I was like, you made it by the hair on your chin, that hair on the chin. That's the slightness of which you got kept. And yeah. So, anyways, I had just moved to Toronto. I wanted a change in my life. My father had passed at the same time that I was having a career change. Like. In the same month, it was my birthday. I had just turned 31. I expected different things for my life at 30 that I did not have.
Yeah.
31 hit, and I was like, all right, well then.
Don't give yourself the pressure at 30.
Well then. So then I went to Toronto, and I had and then my cousin passed. And I was like,
what is life right now? Like,
are you okay? Are you new here? What's going on? And I was like, no, God, like I can't.
You couldn't hold the smile anymore.
I realized how far, and then I realized how far I was from just expectation of fulfillment. And I had tried one last time. I was getting back into, my spiritual understanding and mindset, and I was reviving and repumping.
Yeah.
And I went on this date, and it was like a disgusting experience. And I was like, okay.
That distraction came in.
Yeah, I was.
But it came in for a different reason this time.
I said this is the last time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said this is the last time, this is the last cycle. And I just went I went all in on God.
Yeah.
I went all in on God, and I took a year. Actually, it's a year November. And my whole life changed.
Yeah.
When I took responsibility
for your life,
for creating the life I wanted.
Yeah.
And
that's perfect how you put it. Yeah. That's when it starts. Yeah. That's when it starts, when you take the responsibility for the life you want, regardless of what you've been through.
Yeah, and regardless of what your beliefs are. Because a lot of believers don't take responsibility for the life they want.
Yeah.
And they use religion as a scapegoat to,
justify.
You gotta make some things happen.
Yeah.
Come on.
But everyone has to get there. You have to get to that tipping point.
Yeah, and if someone had to tell you, I'm gonna tell you right now. You have to make some things happen. Yeah. You have to take it, work out your salvation with fear and trembling. Yes, God loves you, and yes, all that's true. Yeah. But you can stay here or you can get here. But here is not where you want to be, baby. You're too close to the ground. And that's exactly what God told me. He's like, you're not going to be able to survive at this altitude.
Yeah.
And some of us have great callings on our life, and we don't realize or understand why living low don't work. Yeah. And it's like with the calling on your life, if you stay at this altitude, you will be snatched up.
Yeah. And that's what it wants. You know what I'm saying?
So I had to go high.
Get to a higher altitude.
I had to go high.
Yeah.
I had to go high. And
Yeah.
that climb was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. And I am a beautifully transformed person now versus then. And I thank God for every decision.
And the journey continues. My last question to you.
Here.
And I'll answer after you answer. Now that you're here, the work is never done.
Right.
But where do you foresee yourself in this journey growing? And what can you say to other people too? Because another thing too, just like you've arrived there, your smile is genuine, your feeling right now is genuine, but it wasn't always like that.
No.
And it's not easy to get there. It's not easy to get there at all, you know, but it's a journey.
It is.
So now that where you are, what would you say to somebody who's coming from where you came from and where you want to go to next?
Lean in.
Oh, please. No.
Lean in. Come a little closer. I would say, listen, hear me out. Two things, okay? Avoidance is not your friend.
No.
And contentment is not your enemy.
No. Stop avoiding. Like
avoidance is not your friend. And contentment is not your enemy.
Yeah.
Not avoiding things, embracing resistance changed my life.
Yeah.
Because I stopped avoiding things that I was scared of. I stopped avoiding things that was uncomfortable because you can't change without discomfort. So when you are in avoidance, anything unfamiliar, even if it's good, you will reject.
Yeah.
And everything familiar, even if it's bad, you'll keep. So I had to stop avoiding. And when I stopped avoiding and made it a practice to embrace resistance and accept change and choose who I wanted to be, and did that with all tenacity, even when it made me uncomfortable, even when it felt wrong, because right feels wrong when wrong has felt right. So when I stopped doing that, I embraced the change. I did not allow my own mind, because my mind was the problem, determine what I was going to do next. I allowed the word of God to enlighten my path and made those decisions even when I was uncomfortable. And then I stopped being covetous. I stopped wanting something else so bad that was stopping me from enjoying and being in gratitude with what I had right now. And when I started realizing what I had right now, I realized I had a lot more than I thought. And when I started working with what I had, instead of focusing on what I didn't have, then I was able to get more. And now I'm able to grow. And I know that in the future, with the contentment that I have, bro, it's exponential. It's only up from here. It's going to be great things. And so I would say, if you can unlock those two keys in your life, if you can do those two things, bruh, you're going to be because you're only in a competition with yourself. And avoidance and not avoiding, or I should say, avoidance and discontentment always put you in a losing battle with your old you. Because avoidance keep you stuck there, and discontentment makes you never appreciate who you are now.
And it's good to be uncomfortable.
It's good. Discomfort is not a bad thing.
Discomfort is not a bad thing. It's showing you that something needs to be done. There's something that's happening.
Yo, next time we do this, self-sabotage needs to be the topic of conversation.
Yeah, we'll do that. Would be part two. We're queen at that.
Because it's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
It's bad.
I'm like, why are you fighting me? Why you don't want to succeed?
And the thing too, what I've learned, and I said that this morning before I started, because 2 people had canceled, because it's originally supposed to be a 4 taping. We're almost done, but 2 people had canceled, but there was 4 people, and I was just like, no, enjoy the process. You're so focused on the end. You're so focused on, oh, it's not the way I want it to be. I don't have time to live like that. I'd be fighting in my head all the time, saying, casting that little devil out, because you just got to enjoy the process. So yes, you're going to be uncomfortable. You're right. You're going to be uncomfortable doing them. I always said most things that I was uncomfortable doing always turned out to be one of the greatest things.
Oh, give me a high five.
But some of the things that I was very comfortable with, I'm like, oh my God, why did I do this?
Why did I do this again? I know how this was going to end. I did it again.
Call him again. Oh my Jesus.
Again, Jesus.
Shani, thank you so much.
Not another cupcake. Again.
Thank you for sitting with me. You always crack me up, girl.
Sorry.
My cheeks are always out to here.
I'm sorry. I'll be
But
more serious next time, I promise.
no, but no, this is definitely part 2 is to self-sabotage, 100%. Because
Yeah.
there's so much to speak on that.
By the way,
Mhm.
do you notice I didn't bust one tear?
Yeah, you were trying to hold back in the beginning.
No, I didn't
But
try.
it's okay.
I
This
succeeded.
is a place where you're gonna shed tears. It's okay to shed a tear. It's okay to be your vulnerable selves because if you can't be your vulnerable selves, that means you can't connect with anybody. You only connect through people through vulnerability. There's no other way. So that means you got to get rid of avoidance. You have to get rid of anxiety. You know what I'm saying? You have to get rid of discomfort. Want to not sit in discomfort. Sit your ass in a little bit. Oops, we can't. I can't show that. Sit yourself in a little bit of discomfort, and you'll be okay. Shanon, thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Thank you for being a part of this.
Thank you, Keemah, for being a genuine person, for creating
you.
this safe space,
Thank
and
you.
for honoring the stories that people have so
Yeah.
other people can relate
Yeah.
and become a better version of themselves.
Thank you so much. And the thing is, I always learn through people's stories. I always thought that you don't have to always learn through what you go through in life,
Right.
you know? And I always watched older people around me, younger people. Like, I always learned through that. And sometimes I learn through my own stupid mistakes.
That
but
too.
Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I love you.
I love you too.
And this is a sisterhood till we reach the rocking chair.
Yeah,
Okay?
Kalaba.
What a rocking chair.
Sorry.
What
No,
is
you
Kalaba?
cut that off. I was talking in tongues.
Thank you.
You
448
cut that off.
Films Productions.
You cut that off.
That was
Sir.
good. How long was that?